So some time ago, I made this little multi-tool. I called it the Gerber Mini Centerdrive. This right here got a lot of attention. It's got a Leatherman rebar plier head. It's got the Gerber armbar handles. And we are going to try to make this again, but make it even better. Now I have to say that I was pretty shocked when I made this video about this tool. It got, I think, over 50,000 views or close to it. I got a lot of questions about it. There seemed to be a huge interest in a tool with this capability and size, but I quickly realized there's three big problems with this tool. One of the big problems is that these pivot joints aren't exactly as they're supposed to be. They sort of stick out. They don't fit in exactly right. I had some issues with the bit driver and the knife as well, getting them to lock into place. I can't fix all of these issues, but I did want to address a couple. It has no scissors. Also, the plier head was cut off and a little bit shorter because I was using an already modified rebar plier head. I hope I can fix at least a couple of these issues in this upcoming mod. So my vision is to actually make a black oxide version of this. I think that'd be really cool with a set of scissors. I'm not sure how we'll do that exactly yet. I've got a couple of ideas. So let's go ahead and get started, dive into this. Now, the first thing we need to do is buy a black oxide Leatherman rebar, which is $20 to $30 more than your normal used Leatherman rebar. It just costs more on eBay unless you find a great deal. I will put the actual cost of what I paid for these items on the side of the screen so you know what I actually paid from eBay. Now, to take this apart, you need Leatherman tools right here. Now, these are some of the original tools I got. Now you can buy tools like this from multipartsstore.com. I have these Gerber tools that I will use for the Gerber, and they do also make some I think I have for the Leatherman as well. I just couldn't find them at the moment, but they're a good place to source these parse wrenches. So we want to find the wrench size that works on this, and I can't remember which side is which, but they go the opposite way. So one of this side will just hold in place, and then the other we will find that actually unscrews, and it feels like this side might actually unscrew. I think maybe. Got to keep working on it. And yes, I can see the threads on this, that it is unscrewing from the tool. Someone really needs to make a Leatherman parse socket. Wouldn't that be fantastic? I would actually love that for working on some of these older tools. I wonder if that's, I'm sure it's possible. I don't know if you can make an insert to go into a normal socket. I don't know. One of you guys needs to work on that and sell that, and I would definitely buy it. All right, so we've got that side loose. Now, usually it's the reverse. So if this is the threaded side, then usually the thread side will be over here on this side. Let's go ahead and see if that theory holds true on this one. All right. Go ahead, use this, and there we go. And it's coming looser, and it's coming apart. Let's hope this works. All right. Again, a lot of this is just using patience. It doesn't take that long, but it does take a little while. All right. There we go. I can actually almost take this out by hand now. Not quite yet, though. I do notice that with black oxide, unfortunately, it does seem like it scratches pretty easy, even with Leatherman. You notice that these pivots right here are becoming, the black oxide is wearing off, it seems like, pretty quickly. but it does look pretty nice. Looks pretty cool. All right. There we go. And on that one, I actually did it on the wrong side. I didn't realize that. So that one, unfortunately, almost looks like I took the pivot out. But all right, so now we have the plier. This one is used. Definitely looks a little rough. Wow. Oh, so I still have to punch this out. Now with this other pivot, I actually ended up tapping this out off camera. I just used a small screwdriver and then just tapped it out. This one right here, again, was pretty rough. You can see it's a little bit, I guess you would say, rusted, and it seems to have a washer. Each one of these seems to have a washer on one washer per side on the inside here. So we've got two washers right here. I don't think we use them for this mod, but we've got the washers, the pivots, we've got the pliers. So we'll definitely be using the pliers. We'll set this off to the side. I think these are too small to be used in the mod right here, these pivots, unfortunately, but we'll go ahead and set these off to the side as well. And then it's time to start taking apart some of the Gerber armbar to get ready for the pliers as well. Unfortunately, with this plier head, I'm finding out it is really stuck. It has got a lot of gunk or something in it. It is really hard to open and close. I may have to manipulate this and work on this before I put this in the Gerber armbar handles. We'll see. I did spray it down with WD-40, so I'll put this off to the side and we may have to work on this later. All right, so now we have the Gerber armbar trade is what we have right here. I plan to go ahead, I'm going to use these new things I got from multipartsstore.com to undo the handles. Wow, these work nice. All right, so that's pretty cool. No more using like a vice grip or a pair of pliers that slips. Pretty neat. This is actually the first time I think I've used these on a tool to break it apart. Pretty neat. All right. And then again, I do like to use a screwdriver or like a skinny Allen wrench to push those out the other side. All right, so we're ready to push this out, I hope. And it's not going easy, so I think I may have to, well, we'll go ahead, we'll take the knife off first. We need to remember that this has, looks like a washer right there. So I'm gonna, oh, there it goes right there. So we've got the pivot out. All right, now we'll go ahead, we'll take this out and we'll take the awl, all right, and the saw right there. Okay, very good. All right, so we've got all these parts right here that we're getting ready to put in this handle. So I need to have the pivot from the pocket clip. We'll put the plier head in. I'm going to try to use a copper washer or so, maybe one of the washers that came out of the Gerber armbar to tighten up the pliers so we get a little bit more grip when you open the handles. Then I'm going to put the knife back in the outside. We've got a washer ring. And then one of the things I noticed when I did this mod before is this is pretty important, this black ring right here, because you need this tight so that it works against this lock bar. So we'll go ahead and we'll try that. We'll try it first with the Gerber arm or the Leatherman rebar pivots. I'm not sure if they will work. Now, I think if I remember in the past, yes, Gerber armbar pivots are too big to go through the rebar plier, unfortunately. So I was trying to use the Leatherman rebar pivots right here, but they are just too small to work through this frame right here, especially with this scale in the way. That just makes them really, really short. So one of the big problems that I have with this project is that unfortunately the pivots I use for the Leatherman rebar plier head are significantly smaller, as you can see, than the Gerber pivot. So these are them compared, and this one is a lot thicker than the Leatherman. So what we need to do is definitely find a way to make this thicker on the end where the blade is for it to lock into place, or else it doesn't lock into place correctly. So I've been working on a whole bunch of things. You can see the ink on my finger. I tore a pin apart. I thought I could maybe use the plastic, make almost like an internal, not a washer, but something that would go around the shaft of the pivot. I tried some of this electrical shrink tubing, but again, it sort of crimps, and over time, obviously, it won't hold up very well. So electrical tape, all kinds of things. Eventually, I actually just cut up some soda can aluminum into strips, wound it around, and then crushed it down. And then that does seem to help. This right here, again, is not very, it doesn't work very well. So when you use this like this, then the pivots actually sort of come apart. They don't hold in place. Not come apart, but they loosen is what I mean. And so we definitely will need to use some Loctite when we're done with this project to keep them in place. So what I ended up doing for this first side is we've got the black pivot from the black oxide, or I'll put on the screen BO Leatherman Super Tool, which I think is around $14. You can buy them on eBay. Then I actually went to my local hardware store and I bought these black nylon rings. So I put that next right here. You can see the black nylon ring. Then I went ahead and I used a brass washer. Now I think these, I'm going to say these are like 10 cents at your local hardware store. I actually found it at Ace, I think. Then I went ahead and used one of the, I think I might have used one of these copper as well, slid that in there just to give it a little thickness, and for the Leatherman rebar plier head. Then the pivot goes through here, and then so I had a big issue, like I was talking about, where these pivots are too large. So I went through a lot of different options. What I found out worked best for me was I actually cut a sliver of pop can. I wound that around the pivot to make a circle, stuck that inside the knife to give it some thickness in there to fit on the pivot. And then before that, you put one of these washers right here. So the pivot comes, you put the nylon washer, you put these for the rebar, and then once you get to this side, you put this washer down, you put your knife blade down. Then one of the huge things you really need to put down also is this black washer that comes from the Gerber armbar. That's very important because it catches on this spring, and we'll talk more about that later when we get to the other side, and then I tighten that up. So in a nutshell, that's what I did. I think I took some video footage of all this, but I seem to have lost it. I wanted to recap that and make sure you're caught up with where I am on this mod. All right, so we have the one side already with the pliers. Now we are working on the other side. So I've already loosened this up. I've already taken the end of the pivot out, again with my Gerber tools right here. You only need one for the Gerber because the other side keeps it locked. So we have the washer, we've got the knife we'll take out. All right, so I tap this some more with the hammer and then it comes out. Then we'll go ahead and we will set all these off to the side as well. Got a couple more washers. Got 4 more washers on the internal tools. We will set all these off to the side right here. Now we have this right here. Now, one of the things I want to work on is trying to get a scissor pair of the internal scissors from another tool, I believe it is. Yes, I'll need to use it from another tool. I want to get that to sit on the outside of the pivot, maybe. We'll see if that works. So I need to work on taking these out right now next. Now, as happens with modding so often, things go wrong. Now, these have two little hex screws that go into here. They actually go into a bolt in the back they're tightened into, and unfortunately they strip out very easily, as happens with different tools. So I actually had to drill them out, but I ended up marring the surface. I'm hoping I can cover it up somehow, but I'm hoping that what I'm planning to do with it will be an easy fix, but we'll see. All right, so now I'm trying to build the other side of this. Now I have this pair of black oxide scissors from the Gerber, I think it's the Gerber Scout, I believe it is. So I will be using this, and then I did find a black oxide, like a washer from my black super tool that I took apart in the past. Again, I'll try to put list on the side about how much these would cost on eBay. Some of these I have on hand since I've torn different tools apart, but let's go ahead and try to work on that. So we'll use our pivot again. This is from the super tool right here. So we'll get the washer on here. We'll fit this spring right here in place. Then there's this sort of like valley right here. So I will use this nylon block washer to build this up enough. I don't want these scissors to dip down. Now this may be actually a little bit too much. As I work on it, I may actually reduce that washer and use something else. So far what I'm liking is I've got my pivot from, again, the super tool black oxide, and then I've got a black washer from that, I believe. I've got the spring from the Gerber scissors. I've got the Gerber scissors, and then I've got a copper washer and a brass washer, and I got these copper washer from one of the Leatherman tools, this brass washer from my local hardware department. Then it goes in here, another brass washer. Then it goes through these rebar pliers. Now I've got to get ready for the bit driver on the other side. Now, what I have right here is a black oxide bit driver, trying to make as much of this match as possible. Again, I'll be using this tool right here. And we'll just... The nice thing about these arm bars, you only need one tool. The other tool, the other pivot holds it in place actually. And I think it might be hand, I can do it by hand now. So we'll take that out. Then I don't know, I may need to, I've been having to hammer these pivots loose. I'll do that and then I'll come back. So with this, I was actually able to just push the pivot free, again with that small, very small micro screwdriver. Then a washer came out. Got some other loose things in this tool right here. Essentially, that's what we have. So we'll put these to the side. All we need from this tool, this is the Gerber Slim drive right here. All we need is the bit driver. Now this one right here has the well, actually I guess it just has the 1/4 inch drive right here, but it's very important that you use the Slim because this one right here is made totally different than the Slim. Now we'll have two issues with this. So the first thing is that, again, the hole will be a lot bigger than the pivot, so we'll need to go ahead, make some more, almost like a makeshift internal ring to go around there. Then we need to flatten this off so that it catches on the locking mechanism. So what I'll do is I'm going to draw a line right here. Then I will take this to the grinder, grind that flat, and then I'll be back to film some more. Now, when I'm doing these modding jobs, I really like to use these, I guess, metal marker. This one I found somewhere. I actually think my wife had it. Crafter's Square. I sort of stole it. I've been using it ever since. It really works good on metal, so you can see that blue line right there. Now, from the last time I did this, I know I had a lot of trouble with the bit driver trying to make it lock. I'm going to leave a little bit extra metal in there because I know this has a tendency to shift around. I'm hoping this extra metal will help it to lock easier into place. I may have to take it apart, take it back to the grinder. We'll see. Now, one of the big things I sort of forgot about is I've got to cut this right here so that our bit driver will be able to rest down right here and not stick way out. So I'm going to take this over to the Dremel. I'll do some Dremel work just like I did with this one. I'll probably need to cut pretty much a straight line pretty far down to give this enough room for the bit driver to sit in there. So you can tell here I'm making cuts. This still has a lot of the metal shavings on it, but I'm making cuts right here, giving the bit driver enough space eventually to go ahead and sit in this slot. Just with my Dremel, just making little cuts. Now, unfortunately, this black oxide is a lot more unforgiving than just your normal gray metal. However, I do plan to cover up a lot of my mistakes, anything that I accidentally hit with a grinder with some black marker, and hopefully, at least for a little bit, it looks a little bit better. All right, so now I've got that piece of metal off right here, and I can go ahead and go back to my bit driver, and hopefully everything will fit. So I've made my soda can inner washer, or however you call that, to give some more width to this. Then I had to use another metal washer that I think came from one of my Leathermans, because the Gerbers have a slot, and so with this right here to make it wider, I had to use a different washer. Then I'm putting on this bit driver, and we'll go ahead, see how this works, tighten everything up. So here we go. This is pretty much where I am at this moment. I've got a pocket clip on this Gerber mini Centerdrive. We've got this bit driver. When I screw this down in place, it does lock here, and then it does stop right here. In the middle, it still has a wobble, so I don't know. I may have to experiment with that some more, but that's where I'm at the moment. We have a bit driver that works to some extent. We've got the hammerhead on the end. Again, we've got the pocket clip. We've got the knife right here as well. And this right here I have so tight, this locks into place right here. All right, we've got that. And then what I'm most excited about is actually we now have a pair of scissors. Now these don't lock into place. What I've done is I've just added these to the top right here. Now in your pocket, that may dig against your leg, so I may have to grind this side of the scissors down eventually. I don't know how much that will affect the operation of the scissors. I think it should still work, but pretty excited about that. So on the inside, again, we have this full set of Leatherman rebar, black oxide pliers. Pretty cool right there. Now I do have to work with them. They're very stiff, so they're hard to open, but pretty cool, this tool set. I'm really excited about having these scissors on the outside. I think that's the best option really with this. So when we weigh this, it comes in at 190 grams, or if we change this to ounces, it does come in at 6.7 ounces. Now compared to the original Leatherman rebar, you can see this is a little bit shorter. It definitely is not as long as your rebar. So it comes in somewhere around like 3.5 inches compared to 4 inches. Here it is up against the measuring tape. It comes in just a hair over 3.5 inches. So again, yeah, more of a pocketable tool.